It's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Welcome back to In the Side of the Storm, where we talk all things Cyclones. We are live again from the AKC Marketing Studio with Andrew Downs and sponsored by Revelton Distillery out of Osceola, Iowa, and our friend Dan Douglas with Green Beret Realty. I am Dave Larson here with my Storm Team partners and Cyclone greats, Marcus Spicer and Brent Curvey. Gentlemen, how are we tonight?
What up?
Bless.
That's it, man. Upright and vertical, man. It's better than the opposite.
I spy with my little eye some classic wear that both of you guys are wearing. Marcus, you've got that Letterman's hat on. And Brent, can you show us that lucky jacket? That thing is a thing of beauty.
Old. It's the old travel jacket from this might be from my senior year, actually. 2006, I think it is. Found it in the box of goodies that my mom gave to me. It was like, here, you need to take your stuff back. So I was like, oh shit, I can still wear it. So
was like, oh
yeah,
shit.
Right. Had to do this a couple times, shake out the dust and all of that to get that out of there, but shit, it still worked.
And it still fits.
That's it, man.
So you got the classic Cyanado on, and I wonder how much you can get for that if you went out to eBay or some marketplace, because that thing is beautiful.
Everything's going like $50. This is when Mac did the old. We started doing the KC. That's why we got the cardinal and gold zippers. We were trying to be more yellow than gold. I think.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
So, speaking of school colors and uniforms, we this last weekend when we played Baylor in that home game, we rolled out with the icy whites. I apologize to everybody that they're probably screaming at us right now what they're called, but those new white unis. But they threw a curveball at us with the Cyclone script across the helmet. I was in the stadium. It was jam-packed. It was loud. The crowds, sellout crowd. Everybody was. Sometimes we don't do very good with our color schemes, but I tell you what, it was probably 95% white, and they were wearing these babies out on the field. They were great.
Yeah, man, it was dope to see from home. Like just to see all that white in there, man. When they were panning across the fans and stuff, that was dope as hell.
Even the lines on the field were dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so these are pictures. Thank you, Chris, our producer, who's bringing this up. But the Jack Trice Stadium, the football team, the athletics department had sent out some photos in preparation. Of course, fans got just nut job excited. Marcus, but we all got pretty excited pretty damn quick when we saw those come out. And a little bit of a slow game to start with. Baylor breaks out 14-3 lead. I think a lot of us took a step back and went, "Well, what's going on here?" But then I tell you what, the team turned it around and finished with I think a 40-7 finish.
Yeah,
and that
crazy.
7-point was a quick touchdown immediately following the halftime intermission, and Cyclones really dominated from there. But any thoughts on that first half of what you guys saw? And Brent, I'm really curious because I think defensively, I looked over at John Heacock at just after that halftime score when Baylor drove down the field, and he was going ballistic on that defense. And I tell you what, I mean, they held up their end of the deal the rest of the way, but it looked like maybe defensively, scheme-wise, we were doing some different things in that second half to put pressure on the quarterback and just disrupted them offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I guess from what I've seen, Haycock is really he doesn't really show his hand early on. So I mean, most of the better coaches will play base defense, so to speak, without heating you up right early on in the game, just to see how well we hold up. It's probably the best way to kind of say it. But the second half is like, all right, shit, it's time to go ahead and win, right? So then things instantly change. So once he saw that pressure got to this guy, which it does most younger quarterbacks, and you send it from different ways, they're not used to the looks that he can give you. And Haycock knows that. And once he gets in your head, it's over. It's not, you're like, oh shit, is it coming left, coming right? You see the kid's eyes were down, changes everything. And then, that gives us more of an opportunity to make stuff happen. And obviously you're going to give up a couple runs here and there because the kid was fairly athletic. But I mean, if we can keep points off the board, that's all that matters.
It was interesting that Baylor came out and they, I think we get our text chain during the game, but I guess I was a little nervous that they seemed to be moving the ball fairly easily in that first half. Short passes, they had a couple longer runs, which that seems to be a little bit of an Achilles heel at times for us. But then at other times we seem to adjust, and this second half against Baylor really told that tale. But into that first half, we had Ben Bramer sighting for a touchdown, and then that block punt on that resulted in another touchdown. That seemed to be a huge momentum turn shortly before halftime. And then let's not forget too, we had the ball driving down when Rocco threw that ill-intended interception. Otherwise, we could have scored again at the end of the half.
Yeah, I mean, taking care of the ball is obviously it's a big point of emphasis for us, but I think it's always, I don't know what it is, man, but I guess watching it, it's like, guys, there's some nerves going, and I just just kind of thinking of putting myself in the coach's shoes, like, well, what can we do on the base side of things? Keep the game close, right? Let them score a time or two, but we know that second half we can open this thing up and go crazy. And it's like that's almost been it's kind of been our script. You know what I mean? Like our second halves have been crazy. Like we come out, we start figuring teams out. We always start off kind of slow. Guys are still figuring out, but the Jackson kid is unreal. And just having him be a spark back there, that changes things up too. Because, you got Abu can, outrun anybody too. Now he's turning more into the power guy, but you got this kid who is lightning quick and can get north and south without hesitation. So, offense feeds off a good defense, man. Just how it goes. But you just see how Mouse is usually kind of chill too the first half. He doesn't try a lot, doesn't want to show too much, gets guys used to being, oh, well, simple, they'll run here, they'll dink and dunk here, and then next thing you know, it's a boom, boom, 82-yard bomb. You know what I mean, over your head. So it's, it's all psychological. I got to set you up for the next move. You just don't know when that next move is coming. You know what I mean? So.
And football fan Pfizer, you're sitting at home on your couch when you're watching that first half and the way that it ended with that block punt and nearly a chance to score another touchdown late in the quarter. What were your thoughts leading up into halftime?
Well, I mean, like we said, like we've become accustomed to, us starting off slow. It just depends on how. If we're starting off slow the way we've always started off slow, then that's the pattern. If it's a different slowness of like, they're putting up points and we're not getting any stops, we can see the pattern of how everything is working. And like Brett was saying that, the quarterback, he was a little loose in the first half, but you started getting some hits on him. Even if they're, not sacks. After a while, those hits are going to make you start putting your head on the swivel. And, that tends to change the course of things. Of course, that block punt definitely was huge for us. Definitely got my competitive juices flowing a lot faster at that point. But just to touch on the second half a little bit more, just man, the Action Jackson kid, this kid is just like he's one of those players. Again, we're 4 games going into the 5th game against Baylor into the season, and now he's starting to loosen up. He's starting to understand the things that you can get away with that you can't. So now he's starting to find the angles and the holes and stuff that he needs to, pop in and pop out. And it's like, man, you hate those type of players. You cannot find him on the field. And once you see him, he's like a buzz. He's by you so fast, and it's just so exciting, man. I had people from back home, a couple of friends from back home texting me like, man, where did this Jackson kid come from? And I said, I don't know, but he's a Cyclone. So that's all,
that's
all I care about. That's all I care about.
So on our text chain, I went back and one of us actually posted, this Jackson kid has some juice. I totally agree on that. Finished with 15 rushes for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Carson Hansen had a nice game too. He had 15 rushes for 97 yards. So we're talking about 2 running backs that combined had over 200 yards rushing. That's incredible.
Got to feed the hot hand, man.
Gotcha.
Well,
Gotcha.
It's really a balanced attack. I keep looking up the scoreboard to see where we are offensive rushes versus passing game. And it feels like Mouse is trying to keep it fairly steady, fairly equal throughout the game. And sure enough, total yards, 542 total yards in that game for Iowa State. 277 passing, 265 running. So exceptionally balanced.
He'll dial up one where Rocco would drop back and throw along, and something to happen. He'd drop back the next play and throw along again.
Yeah, that's it.
Bro, that's so exciting to watch. It's like one way or another, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get you sleeping. And, to have him is definitely a blessing for this ball club, as you can see. There's no coincidence of us being 5-0. And I'm going to keep saying that because we are 5-0. Like we say, like seeing that all the different stuff on the internet, having that last spot in the playoffs picture right now, that's pretty exciting to see. Did I put that in the chat that Peter Parker thing that they had?
I don't know if I saw that one.
I don't remember seeing that.
I'm gonna find her up.
And Brent, I think from a defensive line standpoint, I was a little concerned with Dominic Orange. He came out, had his shoulder pads off just before halftime. We sort of wondered through our chat whether he would return. Fortunate for us, he did return. I haven't heard any updates in terms of how he's doing physically, but I think that certainly was a good sign that he played in the second half. And I mean, you need a guy like that, right?
Yeah, 100%, man.
To stuff up the middle.
Yeah, he's a big issue in the middle. You know what I mean? So losing a guy like that, obviously, it sucks to see him go down, and it kind of worried me too because I looked at how he got injured. I was like, oh man, like I felt like I saw that before, and I did the same thing, and I was like, it wasn't that great. I was able to play through the rest of the year, but it just wasn't fun. By any means. So, hopefully that was just kind of bump in the road and he can, figure it out the rest of the way because we obviously need him. He's a major help to our defense, man. And you can tell he provides a lot of energy too and leadership on that defensive line group. So losing him, that kind of slows us down quite a bit.
Well, we're going to need him against West Virginia. I think they run quite a bit more than they do pass. They've got a quality quarterback, fifth-year senior, who last year threw for, he got 16 touchdowns against just 4 interceptions. He's, I think, got 7 and 4 this season thus far, but I think they're more of a running offense. So we're going to have to slow them down and not let them just take control of the ball the entire game, because we're going to need it to score.
Yeah. Well, we don't need it that long. Let mouse dial them up. So I bet you, well, I don't bet you, but I guess in my mind, I would think that, offensively this week we'll be more aggressive in our play calls, given that, the nature of team that they are. Because if running is their kind of strong suit, then you want to put a team like that down pretty quick, because it's a lot harder for them to come back if, the pass game isn't as strong, right? So you're not going to bust us over the head for 400 yards and get back in the game. We're up 3 scores. So I think from that standpoint,
I think Baylor tried that. It didn't work for them. Iowa stopped running the ball at halftime, and didn't work for them either,
Mm-hmm. That's it. So I think, they would be a little bit more aggressive, and you can tell my man Mouse got in a nice little groove that second half, and it was do what you want. Playbook kind of opens up. Guys' eyes get a lot bigger. It's like, when you're playing ball, Marcus, and you go 5 for 5 to start, and then here come that 6th one, and then you start stepping back. You're like, that hoop, hey, that basket opened up like this. You can shoot from half court, it's going in. So
be a long night for somebody.
That's what it looked like for Mouse out there, man. He's starting to kind of tap into his own, and that can be a problem.
I totally agree, Brent. He seems to nibble and play around in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like even in that game against Baylor, there were several plays in the first half where I just sense that he knows he can go there whenever he wants to. Like, he identified a couple of slants and short passes that were there. And I felt like he's going to go back to that over and over and over again. And in the second half, he just did whatever he wanted to.
Yeah.
And the offense took off.
Yeah. Tell me, I love you to sleep with this simple stuff.
Yeah, that's my favorite, finding stuff like this all over social media.
How'd that get in there?
Yeah.
So Chris pulled up
yes, sir.
Brent, we didn't talk about this last week when you were not on last week's show, but as a former player, what's your thoughts and feelings of seeing Iowa State being mentioned as being the representative of the Big 12 in the college football playoffs and being that 4 seed?
I mean, if you told me this when I played, I wouldn't believe you. I mean, that's the reality of it, right? Because you saw that we were like this is like where blue collar guys come to play ball. You know what I mean? And guys who are undersized in certain positions and whatnot. But, they come up here, they play against all the other guys, and all of a sudden, whoa, where did you find these guys, right? So you just don't necessarily think of playoffs or super big bowl games. You'll see, you think, oh, yeah, we'll have a couple of years, the whole 9, but to see it up there, man, it's super dope. This makes us want to rock the logo even more and keep putting it in everybody's faces. And it's like, yeah, we were little brother for so long, and now all of a sudden, now we got facilities to match yours. Now we're getting recruits to match yours. Now we got better coaches than yours. So, it's like you can't there is no more walking over us. These guys are official now, man. So super dope to see. But again, I wouldn't have thought this, right? In my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have. So, but it's like I said, dope to see. But they need to bring this logo back, like, for sure. This needs to be a part of that. Playoffs, they need to bring that back.
Please. Yes, well, I kind of thought that would be the logo that they brought back for last weekend's whiteout.
Yeah.
Instead of this, the script looked fantastic, though. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I'd love to see the return of Saito, but that's always been my favorite logo throughout the years too. So we are 5-0 for the first time since 1980. Anyone here remember those years?
I was 2 years old.
Well, I think I was an Iowa fan at the time myself.
Yeah, me.
Man.
I do. All right, I'm out now. I'm old.
Thanks, Chris. And that's why he's host of a show called Old Man Strength. So a win over West Virginia this weekend, 7 o'clock kickoff on Fox, our third straight night game. In fact, we're going to have another night game next week against UCF, a home game. So I don't want to jump too far, but our third consecutive night game. Brent, you talked about your love of night games and sitting around waiting all day to wait for kickoff.
Yeah.
So tell me, Morgantown, that there's absolutely nothing to do and they're just going to sleep and relax.
Yeah, I doubt that. Now it's all about making sure you're up, moving around. I'm sure there'll be a walkthrough, and because even for us, like when we had those long games, we'd have to be up. You got to get breakfast. You got to meet right downstairs. We'd have to, do some last minute adjustments. You'd have your team chaplain. You'd have a walkthrough. So offense will go their way, defense will go their way. Then we'll do special teams. So it's like I remember doing walkthroughs in the parking lot for an hour. Like, bruh, we got on. It's hot out here. Like, we got on these jackets. Like, we just kind of speed this up. Everybody kind of knows what we're doing, but yeah, it's gonna suck. And there's nothing to do out there, and those fans don't like you. So it's one of those games you got to win by 10 and win by 1. You know what I mean? Especially out there. So it won't be easy, but I still think we walk away with 1.
Is it in our favor having this being our third consecutive night game? Is we're used to a little bit of a rhythm playing these night games, or does it matter either way?
I don't think it matters either way, but I think that your body does kind of get used to it. Kind of performing at a certain time now, and now that you get into your third week, then I think it does help just a little bit, but not enough to sway you one way or the other. Hey,
Marcus, I forgot to ask that triple T or whatever that Mouse's formation where he has the 3 running backs in that backfield. What'd you think when you saw that being rolled out again this week? It didn't turn out to be anything this time around, but it feels like he's setting up the rest of the season. He's got something planned out where he's going to run something out of there that we're all just going to drop our jaws and go, what was that?
Hey, they said let him cook. When he's cooking, he's going to throw something out there because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. When you have the momentum, guys are playing good, you can try those different things because there's only so much you can do in practice because you're in practice. The defense is going to play the play no matter what. If it's just how it is in sports. You almost have to tell them don't play the play. Then they act like you're doing them a disservice. It's like, come on now, the play, don't play the play. So when you're in the game, you got to try to pull out those different things. If it doesn't work, then okay, well, maybe it's that team. Maybe it can work on another team. Maybe what team would see it and say, okay, it didn't work on them, so we're going to play it well, and then they don't end up playing it well. So you got to see what's going to happen. You got to see what's going to work, once those type schemes come about. And then, when you have a guy like Jackson in the backfield that can spring them, you toss it to him, you never know what can happen. So it's very exciting to see. We've been waiting for something like this for a long time. And like I said, it's no coincidence that we're 5-0 with it. We know the defense have played, lights out as well. It feels good to have that top to bottom team. Like there hasn't been a game this year that we've been in that I didn't feel like we weren't going to win. A couple of seasons before, it's like, oh shit, we pulled that one out. Man, we should have pulled that. This season, of course, Iowa. We're always going to say we're going to win that one. But this year, I haven't not one time felt like, even being down in the first half going into the second half, that I didn't feel comfortable with feeling like we were going to win it.
Well, it feels like West Virginia is starting to hit their stride. They started off with the loss against Penn State. They beat Albany, then lost to, I believe, one of their rivals is Pitt. That was a close game. They lost with a last minute or last second touchdown with 32 seconds left on the clock against Pitt, but then reeled off wins against KU and against Oklahoma State. So they've got to be feeling pretty good. That this almost feels like a must-win game for both programs.
Well, they've had their fun. we're
Yeah.
we're looking to end that little win streak that they've had. I mean, we know how important it is for the grand scheme of things. I mean, we're 5 in, we've won 5, so we don't foresee us going over for the rest of the rest of the season. I mean, it will definitely be the masses feeling of wanting to stay in the position that we're in to get into that college playoff position will be absolutely great. But as we continue to build, if this isn't the 1 year, the next year we're still building off of what we've done, because this season comes from last season. So we're not thinking about how important it is for them or for us. It's just the grand scheme of things of how things should progress going forward. And we got a good ball club.
Hey, Brent, what color so Anthony Beck, who is Rocco Beck's dad, played at West Virginia, is being inducted into the school's Hall of Fame, or the athletic department's Hall of Fame. He was actually inducted a few weeks ago, but chose to come out during the Iowa State trip to be officially inducted so he could attend Rocco's games. What color does he wear on Saturday night?
Well, for the sake of his induction, he has to at least wear his stuff, right? But then he's got to be like that one guy that was at that Iowa game that had the Iowa shirt on, and then he lifted it up and showed the Iowa State.
Yeah, zipped it.
He's got to do one of those. You know what I mean? He's got to kind of have oh yeah, I got my West Virginia. Then as soon as he zips it down, it's like, I'm still rocking with Rocco, right? So he's got to, he's got to rep his son a little bit. I'm sure he will. I mean, if I was in his shoes, that's what I would do.
And speaking of sons, I couldn't help but notice that Malachi had a nice piece about him in the Des Moines Register today. That was cool to see.
Yeah, he did. I just read that actually right before we got on, so it's a good little piece. They lied a little bit, but it's all good. I mean, he's definitely not 6'4", and he's he was like, well, I'm not 205 either, so I guess I'll take the 6'4". So made him a little lighter and a little taller, but I mean, hey, whatever. You know what I mean? But it's a really good piece.
6'4" with shoes on. 6'4" with shoes on, right, Marcus?
Well, they playing cleats, so I don't know if that equates out to the same thing.
That's like 6'4".
The cleats are gonna go down into the grass, so it's not the same thing as being on top of the surface.
Hey, and one thing before we go to commercial here, but one thing I found interesting is that I have not heard or seen any comments. A win against West Virginia makes us bowl eligible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that says a lot about this program, that we're not talking about bowl eligibility. We're talking about college football playoff at this point, which is very remarkable. There were years past where, it was all about getting that 6th win so we can go to a bowl.
That's it.
And here we are.
Yeah.
No one's talking about it at all.
I love that, man. That was my days. Like, let's get the 6. Like, we got to get the 6 because we got to play like postseason. Like, that's not all it was about, but we got to get the 6. You know what I mean? So now to see that, like you said, I haven't seen any mention of that either. Now that you say it, like, I don't see any of that. It's all about the playoffs, and that's now winning the Big 12 and being the top 4 seed. It's like my how things change. You know what I mean? But I love to see it.
It's expected.
Well, and I'm going to give full credit here to my buddy Chad Plotz, who is in China. He's a teacher that teaches American kids in the Chinese culture through an American education system that they have set up over there. And he's been over there for several years now, and he's the one that actually commented on that through a text chain. So it's a very valid point, and I think it's almost refreshing to be able to. We're talking about just a damn good program, a damn good football team and coach, and the focus is on the team and what we have ahead of us, not necessarily a bowl game. So I think it's cool. All right, I think we nailed out everything about Baylor that we talked about and previewed a little bit of West Virginia.
Yeah, they got
we out of there. Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a turn here. We'll hear a word from our sponsors.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right, we're back. You know, I think Revelton's got a new bourbon that's coming out. They're releasing it on the night or the day of the UCF game. So if anyone's driving up through Osceola on your way to the game, if you could get us some, we would appreciate it because I think we'll all be tailgating during that game. But exciting things going on for Revelton Distillery.
Always.
All right,
always.
so hey, Brent, our last episode, we talked a little bit about Coach Campbell now. He's the all-time winningest football coach in Iowa State. I know you played under Coach McCarney. Coach was at that game this weekend, and I think he spoke with pretty much all the different teams from men's and women's basketball to obviously the football team. Can you put into context, as a former player under Coach McCarney, just what this means in terms of the program and really – what McCarney has built to get us to this point, and then have Matt Campbell to elevate it to that next level?
You know, man, every house has to be built on a solid foundation, man. And I think that, you know, Coach Mack, for me, obviously kind of laid that foundation. You know, getting the bowl wins and, you know, really kind of turning the program around and having to go through some really, really rough years to see kind of that upside. You know, it's for me, he's the GOAT, right? And for him to be the winningest coach here, and then now you get Matt Campbell, a younger guy, to do it in a couple less seasons. That just talks just as much to, you know, the type of guy he is, the type of coach he is, how he relates to his players. Because at the end of the day, I mean, Marcus will tell you too, if you don't believe in what your coach is telling you, you ain't about to go out there and play for him. You know what I mean? So I think Matt Campbell was a hell of a guy. Like, I personally wish my son would have played for him. You know, and who knows, there's still a chance, but you know, really good coach. You know, he has the love of his staff behind him too. And there's not a lot of turnover on that side either. There's been a couple of guys gone or that have kind of, you know, moved on, but ultimately his staff has been the same guys, right? That kind of came in there with him. So this talks a lot to him, man. And I think when you got that type of camaraderie, guys that work with each other, and it's not about that, let me get this big paycheck, I need a bigger paycheck, you can really start to build something special. And that's what they're doing here. So it's super dope to see, man. Happy for him. And that just, you know, he's leaving his legacy on Iowa State the way he should. Perfect candidate for it in my book.
It's fun to see. And, you know, again, Dan McCarney, I think all of us that grew up watching his teams and Brant watching you play, we have a deep appreciation and affinity for Coach Mack and for what he's done for the program. So hats off to Coach Dan McCarney and as well to Matt Campbell. And boy, this is one of those seasons where I'm trying to enjoy it, but it's hard because it's hard. We're not used to this success. And if we beat West Virginia, we'll be 6-0 for the first time since, let me check, 1938. I don't think Chris Shipley was around then.
I'm about to say, are we waiting on Chris to chime back in?
I hope he doesn't chime in and say,
I'm
I
back here
remember.
minding my own business, and you guys are just lobbing grenades my way.
But I was about to say though, if you was around then, Chris, you look good as hell to be around since.
Well, I color
That's
my
it.
beard, so that's
it. Just for men, huh?
All right. So this week too, basketball season is in full force. The men and women had their media day this week. Some news coming out today for the men is Milan Momcilovic has gained 15 pounds, which I think is pretty remarkable. And Otts had made reference during his conference that he's really pushing Momcilovic to shoot more from the three, be more physical, finish at the glass. And he used the term hunt for threes. So obviously he's going to have the green light to shoot. Marcus, 15 pounds over the course of a summer seems like a lot, but really it's probably not that much for someone who's 18, 19, 20 years old.
Well, I wouldn't think so. I mean, me personally, was a lot. I think when I stepped foot on the campus, literally I think I was about 198, maybe 205. Really, really small and thin, and definitely got in that weight room. And before I played my first game, I was 240. So, I mean, we were just lifting and day in and day out. So it definitely can happen without a doubt. If that's what your goal is. But of course, once the season starts, some of that is going to come back off. So you're not building that much in muscle unless you're trying to be a bodybuilder bulker. So it's always good to it's gonna even out somewhere probably in the middle. But I mean, having 7 to 8 more pounds of muscle and getting some bulk on them is definitely gonna help a lot. He can get a shot anytime he wants to. That's the thing that's very impressive to me. So you don't have to get that much more bigger. A lot of people thought KD was going to need to gain a lot of weight when he first went to the NBA. But when you 6'9" and got a high release and can make the shot, first of all, everybody's not really going to be up on you because they don't want to take all of that splashing in their face.
Right.
But but from that, him being able to get his own shot anytime he wants to, the sky's the limit for sure. And I'm ready to see what happens next.
Schedule also came out. Thank you, Chris, for pulling that up. And
there go my youngster.
I think the women play December 11th against Iowa at Iowa. The men follow up the following night on December 12th at Iowa.
11 and 12, both at Iowa or the women at home?
I believe both were playing at Carver. Here, I've got it here, and I think Chris has it on the screen, but I'm too blind to see that. But so the women play at Iowa on the 11th.
At Iowa.
11 and 12. Let me check my old schedule.
12-11. That's December.
Not gonna make no promises, but that'll be a good one back to back to be at.
So not only are you planning the at Arizona State, at Arizona in January, now you're looking at Iowa in December.
Well, Arizona State is a car drive.
Yeah.
That's nothing 4 or 5 hour drive this straight down the street. But getting out to Iowa, it's in December. I hadn't seen snow since about 2014. I'm having to juggle that a little bit in my mind.
I don't blame you.
Hey, before we get too far, Marcus had made reference about playing at 240. Brent, what did you play at when you're on the defensive line?
So I came in at I think my freshman year I played at 265. And I got up to 290.
Okay. That was over the course of 4 years, or
did you
make a jump from year 1 to year 2?
That was so I know my senior year in high school, I played at 240. I sat out track season. I was trying to put some weight on just because I knew I was about to have my hand in the dirt. So I got up to 260. And then during the season, I started kind of slowly putting it on, doing a lot of Hamburger Helper and Jiffy. Like that is the mix between that and a little bit of cornbread. I mean, a little bit of PB&J's before bed. You'll pack it on pretty quick. But I got there. I probably got to about 280 my first year. And
so you're saying the Hamburger Helper was your secret recipe?
Man, what? Hamburger Helper and Jiffy? Mix that thing in there? Man.
That's the only thing we can afford back then.
Well, it was Pan Burger Partner. You know, it was Pan Burger Partner is what it really was. But we just called it Hamburger Helper.
Man, we weren't living like these kids living now.
Next food at Walmart, you know, the cheap ones. But
these kids ought to be able to have ribeye steaks and everything now. So
right,
we can see them,
and they'll cut it for you up here. They'll cut it up for you. How you want it, sir?
So, what was your favorite Hamburger Helper then? Let us in on your little secret.
Cheeseburger mac, man. Just cheeseburger macaroni. Super simple. Give me some ground beef, brown it up, toss it in there. It was over with. A little bit of Jiffy, man. I'm telling you, just gotta crunch the Jiffy up in there though. You don't eat it separate. You eat it together. That was
when you say Jiffy, you're talking peanut butter. You put the peanut butter
cornbread,
in with your
Jiffy cornbread,
Jiffy bread.
Oh, Jiffy
cornbread.
bread. Okay.
Yeah.
Cornbread.
Man. That's all bad. No.
So would you like a half a box or how much Jiffy would you?
Oh no, the box was mine. I made the box. That was me.
That's
no shit.
That's one meal.
The boxes was like, I mean, they were small, like, you know,
super
so it's
small.
like little small rectangles like that. This is, mind you, this is Pan Burger Partner. This was not Hamburger Helper. So the service sizes were different.
So
and then the bag in the box is a lot smaller.
Always Food Saver brand.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's all it was, man. You got to find it was $1.97 for the Hamburger Helper, and it was 97 cents for the Pan Burger Partner. So we were straight. Get you a couple of those. You bought 3 of those. You was good. You stretched
So then you
out.
got on the Iowa State meal plan. That's no wonder you gained 30 pounds.
Oh well. You had that, those trash lunches at the bottom of Maple Willow Larch at one of those little lunch houses.
Trash.
That's why I was making Pan Burger Partners and had a George Foreman grill in the room.
Training table was worse. They used to try to force us to go to training table.
Oh man. Yeah, that's all the bad stuff, man.
Now these guys are right. They're healthy eating today.
Now they got a chef and all of that different stuff and Gatorade on deck. Man, please.
That's it.
Some other takeaways from the men's media day is Nate Heisey is a transfer from UNI. His name was brought up as just one of those guys that's busting his butt, working hard in practice, and seems to be one defensively that is showing quite a bit of promise for this season. So, it seems like TJ, someone leaves, someone comes in, he just plugs and plays around a little bit with the team and uses their strengths, and boom, we've got a top 10 team again.
Well, that's the pulse of collegiate sports now. I mean, with the portal and everything that's going on, NIL deals and all that stuff that's going on, like you want to have a cohesive team for the next however many years. But, I mean, when you think about how Kentucky had been doing it for years with Calipari, like a lot of those guys wouldn't stand past their freshman year, maybe sophomore. So you got to put yourself in the mind of thinking that way. But, I mean, just as well as if guys leave us, then there's going to be talented guys coming back as well. I remember when what's the Hunter when he left. A lot of people were upset about that.
Yeah. And
then, we got some people who came in that was playing the same position and did just as well. So, it happens. Wish them the best of luck. Have no ill will against these kids. They're just, young adults trying to find their way in life. And, we made a lot of dumb decisions at that age. Not necessarily saying what I would have done if the portal was available or anything like that back then. But, I mean, it's a lot of people want to put it on loyalty now. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. Even players was transferring back then, but you had to sit out a year. now he's just, the pulse of everything that's going on in collegiate sports.
Well, we thought that it was crazy for that UNLV quarterback to cut out of his team when they're undefeated and decide to hit the transfer portal. We've seen a couple of other players, including a couple from the eastern side of the state, do the same thing. So you're right. It's just the new reality. And while it's frustrating as it was to watch Tyrese Hunter leave to go to Texas, get a huge paycheck, it really helped when we saw quite a bit of success under TJ, and Tyrese didn't see the same success.
Oh yeah, we busted his ass a couple times, didn't we?
Big time.
We busted his ass when we got to see him, which is great.
He didn't play well either.
Yeah,
and again, it's not. I mean, that's not the basis of it all. Wanting to do X, Y, and Z, but if X, Y, and Z happens, you're not. That's how I am. Even in practice, if you got on a different color jersey than me, then you got on a different color jersey. Then we're competitors. We're playing, trying to win, and all of that. So at the end of the day, that's just what it is.
And then on the women's side, Coach Bill Fennelly spoke. I think his was yesterday, but one of the comments that I took out of that press conference was he really raved, obviously, about his team. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of new players that are coming in that can just shoot the ball. And at the end of the day, he pointed to Emily Ryan and said, I would not trade Emily for anyone. And he said it again, for anyone. I think that's pretty telling about the close relationship that he has with Emily. And she really is not only the point guard, but she is the coach out on the court at the same time. And I think that bodes very well for this women's team, who they too, I think when the rankings come out, will be a top 10, if not higher, team for the women's, for the Big 12 women's program.
Yeah, when you click and you gel, you click and you gel. It has nothing to do with, overall talent. This player, that player, doesn't matter if it's men or women. You have to have that cohesive unit to be able to win ball games. You can bring in somebody more talented or someone less talented, and they just fits in the place that you need them to fit in. And then the rest is history. I always go back to, my freshman year was terrible. Sophomore year was up and down, and, we struggled. Then we got, players like Jamal Tinsley and Contrell Horton that came in, and even Brandon Hawkins that came in, But to have somebody like Jamal Tinsley to come in and Mike Nurse move over to the 2 position, which is his natural position, not point guard, you plug and play and everything fell into position. Really didn't know what positions Contrell played. He just played everything and did whatever that we need him to do to be the bully out there with me and Stevie, and it just worked. It didn't matter what team that we were facing. We really felt like we had a chance and an opportunity to go out there and win, and we put that out on the floor. That's what happened.
Well, one thing I loved about that team, not only were you guys tough physically, but mentally. You were probably tougher mentally than you were physically. When the going got tough, you stuck with it. And it kind of reminds me of this year's football team, too. We were down 14-3, and no one lost their cool. Maybe, well, outside of Coach Heacock, but really they kept playing steady the rest of the way, and they ended up blowing the Bears out.
People don't understand how tough practice is, especially up under somebody like Larry Eustachy. The running and the weightlifting and all of that. Like, I had a kid from the track team said, man, y'all run more than us. And we were running on the track at the rec, literally. And he was a part of the track team. So once you get in those situations and you built that kind of atmosphere, when it's time to get out on the floor, it doesn't matter who it is. We're running the ball. You want the game to go longer because the game is going to end, even though you get a win. Now you got to go back into practice. So whenever you get those opportunities, man, you let whoever have it.
That's it.
All right. I had mentioned Rebelton, and I'll pull this up. So they're coming out on the 19th with this rye whiskey. I don't know if you could see it very well there, but 51% rye, 49% corn. So again, if you have a chance to stop by Rebelton on your way up to Ames on the 19th, please stop and get us some. we'd love to have a trial sample. Otherwise, I'm sure we can talk to Rob Taylor and Chrissy Taylor about saving a bottle or two behind. Hey, before we go, Marcus, I'm heading your way. I will be in Las Vegas for work, believe it or not. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I think I leave Wednesday.
Of when?
Next week.
Next week or this weekend?
Well, this week. So I leave Sunday. I'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay. I'll be out of town Friday morning until like Monday.
Okay. Well,
yeah, down in Dallas.
Maybe Dallas. Yeah, we're going to different parts of the country. Brent, what are you doing this weekend? Going to be watching the game, or are you doing a recruiting trip?
I am chilling this weekend. I've got nothing. Just watching the game, man. Get to just chill, get ready for some more football. My little guys last weekend of football too, so that's it.
What time do we play Sunday?
7:00 Central on Fox. So another big prime time, and I believe that we're slotted for 6:30 against UCF, and I think it's completely contingent on this one game on Saturday. I think if we win, we play on Fox. If we lose, my gut tells me we play on FS1 next on the 19th.
Crazy. They putting us on prime time all the time. I love that shit. That is great.
Especially when you have such great whiteout. And here's the thing with West Virginia, they're going to be playing in those coal, I can't remember what they're called, coal miner or coal something uniforms. And I don't know if you've seen them, but they're pretty cool looking. They're like a dark steel gray, and they look pretty good. So you think that just uniforms alone, that West Virginia crowd's going to be pretty loud, pretty obnoxious. So we're not going into a warm environment on Saturday. It's going to be hostile. It's going to be angry. West Virginia fans feel good about where their team is after a little bit of a slow start in their season. I think it's going to be a really good game on Saturday.
Yep, I agree.
Looking forward to it. Definitely.
All right, so that's been another episode in the Size Storm. Guys, we'll see you for our next episode next week. Everyone else, take care.